Hey guys, you here, right? Hey, welcome to my first ever in-depth guide for Black Ops 2, where we're going to be taking a closer look at this game type called Hardpoint, and this is going to be in the perspective of a 4v4 league play situation, and we're going to be taking a closer look at this map called Slums, and this is the map that is quite often used for this game type, Hardpoint. Now, obviously this can be related to the 6v6 situation in the public game, but I'm going to be mainly focusing on the 4v4 situation in the Champion Series of league play. So most of the stuff and information that I'm going to provide you is going to be based on team effort with a four-man team, but some of the information you can use as a solo player as well. So let's get right into it. Right, so first of all, let's take a closer look at this term called anchor. This is quite often used on this game type. A lot of people seem to wonder, what is the purpose of this term? What sort of relationship does this term have with this game type? And what is the actual meaning of this? Well, it's quite simply a role that is given to one of the players from the team that has the responsibility of holding down the spawn for the rest of the teammates to be able to spawn on this player, as known as the anchor. And this is really important. As you can see, I've labeled it on the actual aerial view of this map called Slums. On the left hand side, you can see the pentagon shade of the red. This is one of the spawns that either one of the teams will spawn at the start, and on the right hand side near the marketplace, you've got the rectangle shade of red, which is either one of the teams will spawn at the start of the game. And so you might be wondering, what is the importance of having an anchor? And it's quite obvious, because when you think about it, when the anchor is the person that is controlling the spawns of where your teammates are spawning, right, he needs to make sure that you are spawning as close as possible towards the hard point, because if you're not doing that, then it's going to take you a very long time to get to the hard point. And the purpose is that you need to make sure that you get to the hard point as quickly as possible, so the distance between the spawn and the hard point has to be as minimal as possible. That's why the anchor is there, to make sure that you always get the best spawns available for the next hard point that is coming up, or maybe that is currently there at the place that is going on. And this is always important, because either one of the spawns is going to be in a disadvantage. So if you're spawning, there's two different spawns. So you're going to have the furthest way, or you're going to have the closest one. So the anchor will always fight against the other team's anchor to get into the position, so therefore your team will always get the best spawns, and that is the whole purpose of having the anchor. Right, so as you can see, this is where I've labeled exactly where each and every hardpoint is on this map. So you've got 4 hardpoints in total. You're going to start off with the first one in the middle, as I've marked it with number 1, and then you can move towards the marketplace, which is marked with number 2 on the right hand side, and then you're going to rotate all the way around to Jujuman, which is the 3rd hardpoint, and right next to Jujuman you're going to have the garage hardpoint for being the 4th one. And this is always going to rotate in a circular motion from 1 2 3 4 to 1 2 3 4, depending on how fast you finish the game and getting those 250 points as quickly as possible. So here's the thing, this is really important to know and name each and every hardpoint to make sure what is going on, letting your teammates know. And this is moving on to my next thing, which is actually callouts. And the reason why callouts are really important, depending on where you are, what kind of situation you're in. If you're in a Skype call, if you're using the PlayStation 3 microphones or the Xbox, wherever, right, you need to make sure that you are sort of communicating with your teammates, and calling out where the opposition are is really important, because you need to make sure your teammates are aware of the situation of the map in itself, making sure everybody's winning those gunfights and not only just you. So moving on to our call out. So these may be quite obvious for some of you, but nevertheless I wanted to show you anyway. You got the graveyard in the middle, which quite often a lot of people seem to use to get into certain areas, such as the middle hard point, and obviously go straight through the middle towards the market area. You've got the brick wall, which is one of the flanks that people use to flip the spawn, such as the anchor. You've also got the blue room, which quite often is the sneakiest way to go around to the other side to flip the spawns, which the anchor would most likely do that. You've got the cop car, which is quite unique to this map, which is quite easy to call out. You've got the white van as well, you've got the red van, you've got all of these different colored vans that you can call out if you want. I didn't really label that because that's just kind of obvious next to the garage. And you've got the fountain area as well, which is another obvious thing, which most people should know about as well, but I wanted to put that in there anyway. So these are the obvious call outs that you guys should always use. You can have your own one as well, that is up to you depending on the language or whatever, right? If you want to have your own one, just to make sure your team, the opposition, doesn't know about any sort of communications or block the communication, to go for it. But these are just the normal English call outs that you want to be using with your teammates. So anyway, so what you see here is a diagram showing you each and every player represented by the color of the arrow. You've got 4 different colored arrows here: white, purple, blue and black, and each of this represents the player, as I've said. Now the reason why I'm showing this is because I want to show you how you can start off the hardpoint games on Slum and being able to get the map control right off the bat and also spawn control as well. So as you can see, the black arrow dude completely ignores the first hard point and lets the other 3 players go and contest it, and therefore being the sneaky person flanking around the market area and the blue room towards the spawn at where the B team initially spawned at. And this way, when the anchor on the A team gets towards the market side, if one of the players in the middle hardpoint on the A team dies, they should spawn near the market side. And if this is not the case, then the anchor on the A team should be patient and wait around the area that I labeled and showed you guys the anchoring positioning at the start of this video. You should wait until this happens. Then once this happens, and once your teammates spawn at the market side, that is clear that all of you then can push, including the anchor on the A team, towards the first hard point. Now this is where the crucial bit comes into play. What you don't want to be doing is, you don't want to be going past this black line after you've got the market spawn in control, because if you do that and you die, most likely you're going to spawn back near the garage area at the fountain place, which is not what you want to be doing, because most likely when that happens, the first hard point timer will be finished and the second hard point will be active again, and the B team will have the spawn control again. And this is really, really bad, because it will take you an eternity to run from the fountain area towards the second hard point, as you can see, in comparison to the actual spawn where the B team spawned, and the distance between that and the market is not that big in comparison to the fountain. So really, it is important that you guys stay within the half where you are towards the market area, and this way, if you die at any given point at the middle hard point, you should be spawning back at the market point. But if you don't want that risk to happen, and if you always want to have 3 people challenging the hard point in the middle and keeping completely controllable spawns at the second hard point, then have the anchored positioning always at the position that I showed you at the start of this video, and therefore you should always have map control. So anyway, that is that. Let's move on to what looks like from the B side towards A. Right, so if you're the team that is spawning in the B section, the B area near the market hardpoint, then you guys have the upper hand at the start of the game, and therefore your duty is to make sure you guys keep that spawn throughout the whole time, so you guys have the first and second hardpoint secured. So what the anchor needs to do for the B team is make sure he's protecting the blue room. No one's coming around the flank to try and steal the spawn from you, and that is most likely going to be the anchor from the A team is going to be doing that, as I showed you the previous diagram with the black arrow. So what this anchor needs to do for the B team is to block off the blue room, and he doesn't need to go any further than this point that I've showed you on the diagram, because there's no reason to do that, because if you already got the upper hand with the spawns, you don't want to flip it to 3 and 4 hard points, because that's unnecessary at this very moment at the start of the game. So the placements of the players right now is perfect, nice in the line. They're not going over the point of the black line, because if you go over the point from the black line that I showed you from the previous diagram, then most likely the spawn is going to flip. It's either one of these players who die. And if you're going to spawn at the fountain area already at the start of the game with you having the upper hand, then that is pretty embarrassing. So you don't want that to happen. So you want to keep, first priority is to keep the spawns at the market area for the first and second hard points. So that is how it is for right now. But here's the biggest question out of all of them. You know, right after you've got control of the first and second hard point, how on earth do you get to the third and fourth hard point and dominate the game still? And this is always the case where everything can change at this point. Even if the winning team is winning, it's so easy for the losing team to make a comeback, because what happens most of the time is that the dominating team at the market area of the market hard point most likely kill the players of the losing team, and the losing team will always keep spawning at the fountain area. And now, because the third and fourth hard points are really, really close towards the spawns near the fountain area, this is so easy for the losing team to prepare themselves for the third hard point and the fourth hard point. And as long as the anchor from the losing team is doing the correct job by staying at the fountain area and keep hold of the spawns. Now, here's the question. The winning team, how do you keep winning and dominating? So, let's say about 30 seconds remaining on the second hard point. This is where the anchor from the winning team needs to play it really smart. He either needs to have a backup following him, or he can do this by himself. So what he needs to be doing is keeping track of the second hard point's time. Once it gets about 30 to 25 seconds, he needs to start moving around the upper flank towards the brick wall, around to the garage side. This way, at this sort of point, you know, you still have the losing team challenging the second hard point and trying to get as much points as possible, because 25 25 to 30 seconds is, 30 to 25 points, which is still quite a lot and can be a decisive, points to win the game or lose the game. So this is the point where you need to like sort of mind games, right? So you need to have an early push already towards the fountain anchor. This is what the winning team anchor needs to do. He needs to go to the fountain anchoring position and making sure that even though the winning team is still there at the second hard point with a couple or 3 players, the other team don't know that there's a player who's already pushing towards the spawn. And then this sort of scenario can be different to different teams. How smart certain people are, or it depends on the skill level of certain players. But this is the sort of the common thing that people tend to do to get the spawns. So if the winning team's anchor is successful with grabbing the anchor on the fountain side, on the left hand side, this way if anyone dies at the marketplace on the winning team's side, then most likely they're going to spawn at the fountain side, which then is going to make them spawn at the 3, the 3rd and 4th hard point. So this means they've got the upper hand and they're still dominating the game, and this is most likely going to happen against players who don't really know how to play hardpoint, and that is the most common case, right? But if you play against teams who know what they're doing, it's going to be pretty tough, and it's going to be pretty tough to fight against the anchor who's already sitting at the fountain place already at the start, and you've got people placed already at the 3rd and 4th. So this is where the gun skill comes into play with gunfights and knowing exactly what to do if you want to go through the graveyard, if you want to challenge the 3rd hard point first and then go for the anchor. It really is up to you depending on the situation of the lobby, who you're playing against. But that is pretty much it for this guide. I've talked a lot throughout this. I've given you as much information as possible. I play a lot of league play these days. It's pretty much the only game type that I play with 4v4, going for the solo rank and also the team rank. It's really fun. I love the competitive feel to it. If people say it's not competitive, do game battles. I also do game battles as well. But league plays is a sort of a place where you play against good players who know what to do. So it is really where you can test your gun skill against people who actually play well. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoy. Hopefully this helped you guys out in some way. If it did, feel free to leave a like. Let me know in the comments below which map you want to see next and what sort of game type you want me to break down and analyze as well. I can do any game type for you if you want. Definitely let me know in the comments below. With that said, let me know your criticisms and your feedback on this video that I've made. I've put a lot of time and effort into this in comparison to the usual videos that I make. But that is pretty much it. I'll see you guys soon. Check it out. Good night. Peace. Yeah.